Hello class, this is a video recording about how to write equals method and how to write copy constructors. A few of you asked me this question and I figure it is a good idea to share the explanations with the entire class. So in the coming PA, that is due on Tuesday, we are supposed to implement equals method as well as copy constructors for most of the classes that we write. So how do we write equals method? Number one is, why do we need to write equals method? So why? The reason is you want to compare two objects and see if they contain the same data. And it all stems from the equals method that comes from the object class. So inside the object class, there's this equals method that takes an object reference, and this, as you can see, is a shallow copy. It is not what we want to do, but for the object class, that's all it can do. So it's going to compare this with O. And when we write our own class and we want to write the equals method, we are trying to override, not overload, override the equals method. So this means you have to keep the same method signature. That's why when you write equals method, for example, for the circle class, you shouldn't write circle O as the parameter. You should still write object O. It is because you want to you want to override the equals method from the object class. And there is a problem because you have to keep the same signature. For this reference O, it can pretty much point to anything, but you definitely don't want to compare a circle with a square. So the first thing you want to do is to use this instance of. So you want to know, is the object that O points to is of type this type. And this type is the type that you want to compare to. For example, if you're writing equals method for the circle class, this type should be circle. So you should say if O instance of circle. If you're writing the circle class, you want to know, does O point to a circle object? If it doesn't, then return false. They're just different, for sure. If O points to a circle object inside this if, you should begin to compare the data. So in here, you should use the following rules. Number one is, if the data you want to compare is a primitive type, you can just use double equal, right? So if for the circle you want to compare the radius, if this dot radius double equals to O dot radius, right? And there might be a problem here, just be careful. And also, if you have a reference type, you should use deep comparison, deep compare, right? And how do I do deep compare? For example, for the circle class, it has a center. It is of type point. So the deep comparison doesn't mean that you have to go inside point and begin to compare their data. You can use the you can use the equals method from the point class. So just for example, if you want to compare point, you can compare this dot center with O dot center using the equals method from the point class. So make sure you use the equals method, right, to do the deep comparison. If everything is written properly, then every class should have their own equals method, and you can just use them. Right? So this is one thing. The other thing is, just be careful. Sometimes if you try to get something like, if you want to know the x coordinate of the center, and you want to call it using this reference O. So this is the first point. Second point is, O is object type. It is not a center reference. It is an object reference. In other words, if you have to call any method that is unique to center, that object doesn't have, you have to use typecast to solve the problem. So you have to typecast O into a circle before you can call any method that you want to call on a circle that is unique to a circle. Right, so those are the two things you have to be careful. Okay. So typecasting and also how to do deep comparison. For copy constructors, it follows a very similar idea like in equals. So you have a copy constructor in here in this example that takes a test reference, and you want to create an identical copy of the object pointed by ref. So the first thing you want to do is for primitive types, just use equal, right? Because they are just data, nothing else. And for references, you shouldn't, so it is wrong to do this. It is wrong to do this dot p equals to ref dot p. This is a shallow copy, and this is incorrect. Okay, you should always make a deep copy. How do I make a deep copy? Well, again, if point has a copy constructor that you implemented, feel free to use the copy constructor over there. If you have to, for example, if this class doesn't have a copy constructor, then you go inside and make copy of the data using accessors and mutators. Right, so that's the way to go. And you should never use a shallow copy. Okay. So I think this is the very short tutorial about how to write copy constructors and how to write equals. Have fun with the PA.